The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to this month's ACM SIGUCCS webinar. See we have a little audience here today. I'm going to ask you all, if you don't mind, to just say hello in the chat window to make sure you can all hear me just fine and that we know you're out there listening to us. Chat window should be one of the panels that you can expand out on the GoToWebinar meeting on the side there. I'm not seeing anything there just now. Let's see if we can hear folks. Oh, I see. There's Miranda. She's giving us a hello there in the questions panel. So that tells me that people can hear me, and I think we'll just get going then. So what I'm going to do, I've got a couple of announcements that I want to make here very briefly before I hand over control to our actual presenter. So let me get going on that right now. First of all, now that we've got you hooked on this afternoon's presentation, we want to see if we can get you interested in the next webinar, which is actually going to be the beta edition of the SIGUCCS seminar series happening on November 10th. Title of the seminar series is Life Beyond the Lab. This will be a 4-hour session featuring presentations from a couple of different people and an open conversation specifically geared and aimed towards people who are aspiring to become new managers or who are looking to transition from supervising mere students to supervising the ever difficult peers and other professional staff. So if that's of interest to you, please do head to the SIGUCCS website and get yourself signed up for what will be our first of several of our seminar series. There are a couple of other events we're hoping coming up here next week, next evening, Thursday evening, I should say. We have an unconference, a much more informal hangout in Zoom under the heading of Scary Support Stories. Everything starting from the infamous cup holder on up. We all know we have some great support stories, so please do join us for that on the kind of Halloween topic of scary support stories. Next major event after that is the Life Beyond the Lab seminar series, and then please stay tuned for future webinars. You can check the SIGUCCS page on that at any time. The big event, of course, next year would have been our in-person SIGUCCS annual conference, which, as I'm sure you know by now, is not going to be held in person, but is moving online into a virtual format. That will actually be the primary seminar series next year, starting in March. We're going to be taking a lot of the content that had been submitted for presentation at the conference and instead presenting in this online seminar format throughout the course of the year, so that perhaps with some more distributed time, more people will have a chance to join in. So please do stay tuned for that. The schedule we're hoping will be announced early in the year. Also keep your eye open for more unconference or hangout opportunities that stem from that. And as the volunteer coordinator, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you all to keep your eyes open for any opportunities to volunteer or help out with that whole event. Relevant to the conference, of course, we also have the SIGUCCS Awards. We are still accepting nominations for the Penny Crane Award for Distinguished Service and the Hall of Fame Awards. So if you have a colleague that you'd like to submit for any of that, please get those nominations submitted by December 1st, which is our deadline for the coming conference year. Now, if you can't wait to join in the community, then there's several opportunities for engaging. Not least of all is our book club. The November book choice is What If I Say the Wrong Thing? 25 Habits for Culturally Effective People. Discussion on that should begin sometime relatively soon in Slack, but if you wanted to kick off the conversation, I'm sure nobody would object. There will be a GoToMeeting hangout where people can get together to actually discuss the book, scheduled sometimes toward the end of November, around about November 30th. So keep tuned for that. And if you want to get a jump start on the book after that, or if, like me, you're just a very slow reader and need a head start, the January book choice is Better Than Before by Gretchen Rubin. If you want to engage with SIGUCCS community in other ways, there's really no shortage of options. We have the email listserv, which is a great place to look for announcements on webinars, seminars, the conference, also for questions from our peers across the country. Social media is more your thing. We do have a presence on both Facebook and Twitter as well. I have to confess, I am more of a Facebook person, though I'm in there under my pseudonym. I'll let you ask around to see if you can figure out what that is. The place to go, however, if you want to engage with the community, really at the moment has to be Slack. We have a number of channels in the SIGUCCS Slack instance, and there's always lively conversations. We have conversations of the book club. We have conversations, announcements about the conference. Productivity Weekly Challenge, and that's just a few of them, is a great place to raise questions, get to know some of the other members of the community, and engage in a very low-key setting at any one of a number of levels. It's a lot of fun to hang out in there, even if you're just like me, something of a lurker. And if you want to actually really, if it's all sold you on becoming a member of SIGUCCS, we would, of course, thoroughly encourage that. Membership benefits include discounts on conference and pre-conference seminars, access to the ACM digital library. That's where any papers submitted as part of the SIGUCCS conference and any of the other SIG group conferences are published and hosted there, and they are a wealth of information and material. I have made use of that several times myself over the course of the years. Another benefit of joining SIGUCCS is you get access to the mentoring program, which is, of course, particularly relevant today. And you also get to participate in the election of the officials that run the conference. And I think that's actually most of what I had in terms of announcements. Reminders on the format of the webinar. Everybody is muted. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel next week. If you want to ask a question, there is a questions box to the side there that I'll be attempting to monitor throughout the course of the presentation. And if you really have to be to join in or ask a question out loud, raise your hand and we can ask the presenters if they'll be willing to take that question. I think that's pretty much what I have for now. So I am going to change presenter and hand this over to Katelin, who I think is going to take control at this point. Katelin, that should be all yours at this time.
All right, hello. PowerPoint.
Yep, I can see that.
Oh, has it paused? It's funny. I'm not entirely sure why it says pause.
Oh, what I'm seeing on the screen at the moment is, there you go.
There you go.
That's better.
Okay, am I unpaused now? That was strange. I've never had a pause on before. Even as technologists, sometimes we have technical difficulties. Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by my co-chair, Gail Ranken, and we would like to talk about the SIGUCCS mentoring program. So this is today's kickoff presentation for next year, and hopefully you'll fill out the application at the end of this presentation and join us for a year of fun. So unfortunately, as was mentioned earlier, next year's conference is canceled in a live format. So we're hoping that more people want to join us virtually and in the program. So the advisory team is a great group of people who help make the mentoring program happen. And if you would like to be a part of the advisory team, please reach out to either myself or Gail, and we'll be happy to give you some information. Currently on the advisory team, we have Scott Trimmer, myself, Max Cohen, Brian Gardner, Chris Olantz, Gail Ranken, who's joining us today, Beth Rugg, and Chester Andrews. So we have had people from all over the US join the mentoring program, and so every year we like to update the map and just kind of show everyone that it doesn't matter that your mentor or mentee is right next door or whatever. We have plenty of opportunities with Zoom and Teams and telephone and email to interact even though we're not close by. So it's really cool to see how people have come to us from all over the place. So who are we in the mentoring program? This is a cross-section of different colleges, universities, and organizations that have been represented over the years in the mentoring program. So it's a very vast set of people from many different backgrounds. And this is also great to kind of see who we are in terms of job title, because a lot of the times people are always saying, oh, well, I'm a lab manager, but I would like to become X. And so it's great to be able to see all the different job titles here and see that you can really work with someone within your interest group, or maybe you want to branch out outside of it. And so we've got a pretty good set of careers here. So what is mentoring? It's a wonderful asset and experience for me. Thank you so much. I think I met my goals, learned a lot, and it's super helpful to have someone speak with that was not at my institution and could offer some objective feedback. I would go on, but I'd miss the submission deadline. This was a survey feedback we got. And it is really helpful to have someone outside of your institution that can be in that mentoring cone of silence, where you can kind of bounce things off of someone outside of your institution. And mentoring is not a conversation, but an intentional collaborative approach to growing together. And it's really funny because I've been both a mentee and a mentor in the program, and now on the advisory board. And it's really interesting how much you even learn as a mentor. Mentoring equips professionals with tools for success in their career. Mentoring is the secret weapon of successful startups. As a mentee, I get some feedback that isn't so entrenched in what's going on around me. So that's what I was saying about having someone outside of your institution can really help sometimes. And we also have some great examples of mentors. You'll see Jiminy Cricket there and Mr. Miyagi. Career-oriented mentoring has a greater relationship with promotion rate. And that really helps because a lot of times people feel like they're stuck. And talk to someone else and see what certifications they may want to get, or continuing education, or what books to read, or just someone to talk to. So this year's mentee mentoring matching. So at the end of this presentation, we'll be posting our application Google form for everyone to fill out if you want to join the program. And so those are going to be due to us by November 27th. So that's Black Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving. And then at the beginning of the program, we talk about goals and career improvement and what your desires and preferences are, your experiences and your strengths and interests. And this helps us really match mentors and mentees. Okay, so there are 4 phases to the mentoring process. And one is to prepare, and we have a couple of surveys and things like that that kind of help you get ready. Negotiation, enabling growth, and closure. So part of the preparations, it's important to remember that you need to communicate with your mentor or mentee, commit to the program, and consider what you'd like to get out of it. What are your goals? Be honest. And also, it's important to listen. A lot of mentoring is active listening and to be open. And it's confidential. So we have confidentiality here, and I'm saying like the cone of silence. You need to respect your mentor or mentee and be flexible. We have some groups that meet an hour a week. We have some that meet half an hour each month. We have some that just email. We have some that video chat. So it's really whatever works for your pairing. There's no set way to how this works. We just kind of guide you in the right direction. So one of the preparations that we've used for years in the mentoring program is the StrengthsFinder 2.0 book and survey. And it's a really great way to get started and kind of figure out what your strengths are. And I actually have my strengths on my wall at work. So usually I read them off, and I just realized that it's not pinned to the wall next to me like it usually is. But I know one of my strengths is communicator. So that's funny. I turned to look at my strengths and they're not here. That's the funny thing about COVID, not being in your regular office. And then this year, we're also going to suggest, this is the same author as the Strengths Finder, and this is Strengths-Based Leadership. And I actually just got the book. I haven't gotten to go through it yet in preparation for this year's round of mentoring, but I'm really excited to see what my leadership strengths may be. So that'll be fun. And I just love this quote by Shonda Rhimes about negotiation. Dreams are lovely, but they're just dreams. Fleeting, ephemeral, pretty, but dreams do not come true just because you dream them. It's hard work that makes things happen. It's hard work that creates change. And so one of the books that I absolutely love, her book, The Year of Yes. So when you start the negotiation phase of mentoring, talk to each other about your expectations, like how long you, how much time you want to block out for each other and how often. Consider your communication tools. Like I said, are you going to email? Are you going to video chat in this age of Zoom and Teams? Are you going to talk on the phone? What are your ground rules? Besides the cone of silence, is there anything else that you think would help your mentoring relationship? We're going to talk about SMART goals, and I love SMART goals. I have a graphic here. They're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So one that I always like to mention is I had a mentee who had flex time, but their goal was to be in the office every day by 9 a.m. And so that was specific. It was measurable. I certainly hope it was achievable. It's realistic and it was timely. So they checked in with their manager to see how they were doing with coming in by that set time. And also milestones, like when do you hope to achieve that by? And then committing to those goals. So here are some examples of SMART goals. So one specific goal is to present ideas to a manager without talking too much. Measurable discussion with the boss at the end of the trial period. Is it attainable? Outline the steps to prepare for the meeting with brief talking points. Is it realistic or relevant? Put planning time on your calendar. Timely. Try it for 60 days and then review with your boss. Growth. Mentors, you can suggest solutions and resources, and it's important to be an active listener and give honest, constructive feedback. Mentees are in charge of their learning. It's really about what you want to get out of it, and to also be an active listener and listen to what your mentor has to say and ask the difficult questions. I mean, this is first and foremost a relationship, so it's someone you can go to with those difficult questions. And so growth. Mentoring is different than coaching. And coaching is to improve your job performance, and mentoring is to support and guide personal growth. It takes initiative. A coach directs learning, whereas in mentoring, the mentee is in charge of their own learning. Focus. Coaches focus on immediate problems and learning opportunities, and mentoring is based on long-term personal development. And coaching, you talk with appropriate feedback, and with mentoring, the mentor listens as a behavioral role model and makes suggestions and comments. So here's some advice from some previous participants of the mentoring program. Have the mentee write down what he or she wants to gain, and that's kind of the start of SMART goals. You don't have to smart them out right away, so to speak. As long as you have something in mind, then you can build from there. And then someone was having problems and they said they should have reached out to the advisory team, and we're here for you. We can help iron anything out. I mean, that's why we have the advisory team. So don't be afraid to reach out. We had one mentor last year who agreed to take on 2 mentees because the mentor didn't work out. Keep bigger goals in mind, and then overschedule your sessions. Something always comes up. I don't know how many times over the last 3 years that I was in a mentoring relationship, and I get a ticket right before we'd go into the meeting. And I'd reach out to the user and see if I needed to go right away. And if I did, I'd email my mentee and say, okay, sorry, I can't do today, but we had like a standing Thursday at 9 a.m. So then I was just like, okay, can we push this to next Thursday? So you just have to be flexible, especially in IT. You never know what's going to come up. And get to know the person before focusing on their goals. And take time to reflect at the end. So in closing, be clear, reflect on the value for both mentors and mentees, and then celebrate. And so unfortunately this year we're not going to have our usual luncheon at the conference, but we'll see if we can have some sort of wrap-up celebration for everyone. And here's some resources. Don't forget the advisory team. We're here to help everyone. We do have a great mentoring guide that was written by Beth Rugg. And then we also have lots of mentoring hangouts planned for the next year. Because of all the stress from COVID, we've been talking about having a session on mindfulness, team management, time management, leadership skills in a remote world. And then if there's any other webinars that anyone has that you would like to suggest, you can always fill out our survey. And there's also a great learning styles survey. I thought I was going to be more of a tactile learner, and then I ended up being a listener. So that was really interesting to find out about my learning style. Can't say enough about books. I mean, we have the book club, but some just great books that we've talked about in the past is Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's Okay to Be the Boss, and It's Okay to Manage Your Boss by Bruce Tulgan. Leadership and the 1-Minute Manager. The Situational Leader by Dr. Paul Hershey. Leading Geeks by Paul Glenn. Now, Discover Your Strengths by Marcus Buckingham. Life Key Books. How to Choose the Version of Life That Best Fits Your Drive by Daniel Pink. And Daniel Pink has lots of other great resources. Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. As I mentioned before, The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. Creative Trespassing, which I'm actually reading right now from the library. How to Put Spark and Joy Back into Your Work Life by Tatiana Katan. And that was, I believe, the last SIGUCCS book club book. I'm a little behind on the book club entries. And as mentioned before, the SIGUCCS book club hashtag in Slack is great. And if you're curious about what books have been selected, you can go to this WorldCat link. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask. Here's my email. And in the chat, I'm going to post the sign up link here. So does anyone have any questions?
Didn't see any questions come up during the presentation, but if you've got them, you can pop them in the question window or in the chat window there. Seems like no questions yet. So.
Okay, and then for some reason, I only have chat window for just us. Let me get one for all attendees. It's really strange.
I've got eyes on that, and I'm not seeing anything else come up here at the moment. So.
I'm going to also post the form link on the SIGUCCS Slack and Facebook pages. So if anyone would like to fill out the form to join the mentoring program, we'd be happy to have you.
Let's read a few questions. So Tom is asking, where can we find the list to the books?
Oh, yes, that is, Lori set up a WorldCat link. So it is right here. So yeah, it's a list of all the books that we've read in the SIGUCCS book club.
And then Miranda's asking, how has mentoring impacted your careers? Which I think is a great question.
Gail, do you want to take this one?
Sure. I think it helps a lot. I think that when you're working with people that are mentors and mentees, the mentors can be reminded of things that maybe you're hearing another boss do, and you can make sure that that's not happening in when you're working with other people. So if someone's too talkative and not listening to their employees, sometimes that might stick with you. Or you hear a lot of things as a mentor, and it's good reminders. I would say that I think it helps you in your day-to-day. I think it helps you when you go to plan. You're listening to what people want to do and what some of their goals are. And I use that to make sure that we had that kind of mentorship in with the staff that we had in our department. And that has been really valuable for me, and has set what I was doing apart a little bit from what other people were doing, and has led to promotions. So I think that even when you're a mentor, you have those options of moving ahead yourself because of the work that you're doing. A lot of mindfulness, a lot of thinking ahead, a lot of taking the practices that you learn from being a mentor and applying them in your area.
Excellent. Tom's also asked, what can we expect if we were to join the committee?
Lots of laughter.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we do meet and have meetings, and just to check in with everyone. So we plan the webinars, and yeah, we do laugh a lot. We can sometimes get off track. But also it's really helpful to have people on the advisory board, because they're the ones who get assigned mentor-mentee pairs to make sure that they stay on track. So it's a great way to support the program and also support other people's growth. So it can be very rewarding.
I think if you're on the committee, you really want to make sure that the pairings go well and that you're really invested in making sure that each mentorship succeeds. I mean, from a time commitment, it's about an hour a month, if that even. So it's not a very big lift in your general workload. So it's definitely worth a while.
Yeah, and Chris posted a comment as well saying that we have fun at the meetings. So this seems to be a unanimous opinion.
It's a good group of people.
Miranda's asking now, can you describe a successful pairing and what does that look like specifically?
I can tell you that when people have a successful pairing, you know, on the mentor advisory, you can tell when a pairing's gone really well, because when they meet, they're so excited, number one. Number two, that they've become fast friends or just have an awful lot to talk about when they finally see each other in person. And I think the friendships go beyond the mentorship. I think that when you're talking specifically about goals, someone's really been able to articulate what they're trying to achieve, and it's really clear from both the mentor and the mentee that that's occurred, and that everybody's satisfied. Let's say it that way. So I had a mentee who was really looking to change how they worked. They felt like kind of what the book here was saying here, how to put the spark and joy back into their work life. They were trying to kind of do that. They had done the same thing for a long period of time. And so the challenge was for that person to change how they were thinking about their job. And at the end of it, that person started thinking differently about their job, has received 2 promotions, where before when they walked into it were thinking that they were going to be fired because they weren't really invested in their job. And so that would be a successful mentorship, if you want to be as an example.
Another funny experience that I had was I had the same mentor as someone else, and that was like our common starting conversation at breakfast one morning at the conference, and I became really good friends with the other person. So we were kind of like mentoring siblings since we had the same mentor. So that was really fun that we both had great experiences. And so I've made more friends in SIGUCCS just based on that relationship as I've gotten to talk to other mentees of that person. So that's been kind of fun.
I'm going to open up the microphone here for Chris, who is actually, he said he could comment on what it meant to him as well. So let's see here. I think you should be able to unmute yourself now, Chris. There you go.
Yep. So, sorry. So yeah, I started out with the mentoring program because I was moving from being a student computer lab manager to manager of support services. And really, I needed some advice on how to do that. And so I got into to being as a mentee, and that just helped immensely. The person's advice was awesome. I was able to get that position and grow into it. And then later, I started doing some mentoring, and I enjoyed that so much. I got onto the advisory board, and so it's a great experience if you're trying to move from technical positions into leadership positions. We've got some really great people that have been doing this. I've been in IT for 40 years, and when I did mentoring, I brought those types of experiences to the mentees that I had, and then now for the advisory board individuals. So I can't say enough about the program.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. And that's also a nice pitch, that level of that kind of expertise on stepping up into kind of more leadership type levels. A great pitch for the seminar next month as well, of course. Hopefully we'll have some of the folks involved in that and talking at the seminar there. Are there any other questions for our panelists today? Here we go. A question from Tom. Actually, a comment from Tom more than anything. No matter what level you are, you can use a mentor. I heard Keith Mack tell me that.
It's true.
And I would actually, I'd be inclined to agree. Any other questions or comments? I have to confess that, speaking purely for myself, that I have not availed myself of the mentorship program, but I have been thinking about it a lot as I consider a number of changes that have in my job responsibilities over the course of the last couple of years. Just some of them one-off projects that came up that I got heavily involved with, and then discovering that the re-entry back into my more regular support role, operations role, wasn't nearly as easy as I thought it would be. And as I've been thinking about that, the projects concerned were all related to big construction projects on campus. And there's a couple of smaller ones that have come up that I'm also being assigned to that are perhaps giving me the opportunity to kind of start easing myself back in again. But I'm starting to wonder if I shouldn't perhaps be reaching out to people outside of the organization here, saying, okay, how do you manage these transitions in and out of a job, a temporary assignment in and out? I think this is something I could definitely use some advice on. So I may actually be launching myself into this program for the first time myself this year.
Great.
Yeah.
We would be happy to have you.
And I just put myself out there nationwide. So there we go.
No pressure.
And Chris is actually saying he would love the Teach the Mindfulness seminar. So
okay.
Yeah, I would love to do that with you.
There we go. Well, I will take a note of that.
Great, we'll tag team that one together.
Yeah.
Well, in lieu of any more questions, are there any like closing words from our panelists?
Well, we'd just be happy to have whoever wants to join. It's a big old fun SIGUCCS family. And I posted the link to Slack and I'm putting it on Facebook right now.
Covering all the bases.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that anyone at any level definitely can use a mentor.
Very good.
It'll be a fun experience. Definitely consider it.
I mean, nowadays there's a lot of executive coaches and you have to pay for them. So I would say that this is a great benefit of being part of SIGUCCS. And I think it changes how you look at your job and how you look at yourself. So I think it was definitely worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you both for the presentation and your words of wisdom today, and thank you to our attendees for joining us. Again, this has been recorded, so we will be posting it up on YouTube next week. So if there's any other links in the presentation that you didn't snag, you'll be able to grab them from YouTube. If you want to listen to the words of wisdom or any of the references, the book titles, things like that, you can get them from the YouTube video as well. And I think that pretty much wraps us up. Again, keep your eye on the SIGUCCS.org website for future events, webinars, seminar series, and of course the unconferences as well. Information on any and all of those will be posted to the website. And with that, I will say thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
All right. Thank you, everyone.